All right. Hello, everyone. This is Sean Patrick Simpson, co-founder of Elshka Publishing and co-creator of the best-selling Adventures in Manifesting series, which is about inspiring and empowering people to create a life they love, which I believe is what this series of videos is for. Basically, Adventures in Manifesting is a creation of my partners and I. We are based in Melbourne, Australia. We met on Twitter, of all places, and I'm from Los Angeles, actually. And we created the series to do that, inspire people, and we also run a self-publishing company called Verbi.com, Conscious Publishing for Conscious Authors, where we help people put together their books in the most empowered way in the current publishing space. What are the challenges that people are facing today? Well, in terms of publishing, I mean, there's two areas. We could look at people creating a life they love, and number two, people publishing. So let's look at the creating a life you love first. I think a lot of people are focused on drama. And so, I mean, for me, in terms of creating a life I love, ever since I was very young, I always looked for ways that I could grow. I always asked, okay, how can I grow from this? How can I learn from this? Anytime there were challenges, anytime there were issues, anytime there was something I didn't enjoy in my life experience, whether it was both internally, my internal feelings, or with other people, I'd ask, what's there to learn in this? And a lot of the lessons in life, in creating life you love, is letting go of the crap, forgetting the anger, the resentment, the drama, the holding things against people, because ultimately all that stuff you're creating, and if we are creating a life we love, then we're responsible for everything, no matter what happens. So someone can treat us poorly, they can call us names, they can be jerks, whatever, and it happens, and we all get frustrated. It happens to the best of us. But the key is to ask at all times, how can I grow from this? How can I learn from this? My feeling from very early on was, I look at adults, when I was a kid, for example, I looked at adults, I looked at my parents, and I thought, these dramas that they're having, these things they're feeling frustrated about, they're getting angry about, they're really kind of the same things that people that I know get frustrated of now, and this is when I was a teenager. And I thought, I don't want to live my life that. If I'm having these experiences now, why can't I just get the lesson now? Mm-hmm. And so it's really, that's one of the major things of getting past that roadblock and asking how we can grow and learn from things to create a life they love. And the way I like to see it is kind of like, first off, I'm not a surfer, but I love the surfer's analogy in that, you've got waves. And when a surfer is going to learn how to surf, they're not going to go out and tackle that big giant wave first. They're just not. They know they're going to get crushed. Yeah. But what they're going to do is they're going to practice on the little waves. They're going to learn their lessons there. Yeah. And then when they get to the slightly bigger waves, they're going to go, okay, what's my lesson in this? How do I handle this? Do I try to tackle through it? No, that's not going to work. Going to get thrown back. Do I flow with it? Yes. You go flow, you go left, you go right, you just flow. And eventually you learn how to go through those big waves, those challenges. And that to me is what life is all about in creating life. He really is learning to be grateful for those failures. Yeah. There's a number with Thomas Edison that gets thrown out. Some say 9,000, some say 11,000, but there's a famous quote from him. Someone asked him, how do you feel about having failed, creating the light bulb, 9,000 or 11,000 times, and he says, I don't. I just found 9,099 ways not to create it. And so you got to start looking forward to that and not fearing them. I mean, yeah, none of us want to have big failures, but I gotta say, if I look back on any point in my life where I felt it's been a big, the shit's hit the fan. Yeah. It's all led me to better things. Absolutely. So, failures, it's all about perspective, and it gives you new perspectives on life. The publishing side, it's funny you ask. We, 2 years ago, so we started the Adventures of Manifesting series, the book series, inspiring and empowering people to create a life they love. And so with that, we essentially created a publishing company with it. Now, in this series, there's 32 authors in each book, all with different stories. So I've got them right here. In our passion and purpose title, there's 32 authors talking about passion and purpose in people's life. Healing from within, same thing. Love and oneness, love, etc. Success and spirituality, health and happiness, and so on. So we created that series and empowered all our authors to join it, be contributing authors with some best-selling authors such as Joe Vitale, Marianne Williamson, Danielle Laporte. Some of our next authors are Vishen Lakhiani, Chris Farrell, Scott DeMolin. And so when they joined the series, we also got them books to invest in, where they got them wholesale prices and were able to sell them themselves. We also provided them training and so on to help get them up online and selling the books for return on investment. Basically starting to create a business for them or brand, or take what their existing stuff and work on it. Because we've got authors of all ranges in it. Anyhow, long story short, the authors with us in the compilation book series absolutely loved their experience with us. Their reviews for the experience were amazing, and so people were saying, "Hey Sean, hey Sarah," Sarah's my fiance, by the way. Are you guys planning on doing self-publishing, or is there a way you can help me with my own book? This is my 4th publishing experience, and it's the best one I've had. And these were people who have gone with the self-publishing imprints of many of the traditional publishers. And we said, you know what, it's not there yet, but we'll see. In time, we realized there was a deep need in the marketplace for a new self-publishing solution. And so that's what we created with Verbi.com and decided, okay, we're going to put together an empowering solution for authors. And so that's why we created Verbi.com, which takes care of authors' cover designs, interior formatting, ebook conversion, editing, printing, but as well as giving them 100% copyright and ownership over their words, where while we are a publisher and we help them, we're not the publisher of their book. We make them the publisher, and so we never collect a dime on any books that are sold through them. So that's essentially what Verbi.com is, conscious publishing for conscious authors, a more empowered solution. The thing is, life is not a fairy tale. And, there is no right or wrong, good or bad, but there are shades. There's shades and gradients, and, what's one person's way may not be another person's way. And so while I do see things by others and go, oh, I'm not down with that. Yeah. Ultimately, that's my opportunity to go, okay, I'm going to, release this. I'm not going to energize that anymore because that's not doing anything good for me. Yeah. And I'm going to let it go because that's their way. It may not be my way, but it is a way. And so the best thing I can do is not make them wrong for it, but create the best things in my life I can, and create things that can empower people in the way that I see as empowering, authentic, and we talked before this thing, we're just going to go with the flow, and I feel inspired to share it. But everyone's talking about finding their soulmate and stuff, and what I want to tell people is, start with inside. Everyone's looking for that other half of them, and it's not just the other half, it's the other whole. And the key is that we are all whole in and of ourselves. We're already whole. And then the other, it's the idea of abundance. Abundance never lacks. It's always whole, and there's always more to abundance. So when you can do that, when you can let go of that lack, that state of I'm alone or I'm lonely, I need more. When you can start to let go of that, and for those that aren't even there yet, don't understand that, but I want this person, for example. You just have to be open to the idea that you can be there. Once you start to embrace that, embrace self-love, get to know yourself and love yourself, then the proper mirror can come back, come into your life. I know so many relationships where it's not an ideal relationship, or you hear about the issues from the other person. But you got to wonder, okay, but what is it that you're experiencing internally that's attracting that in your life. Sarah and I watched a movie the other day, and there was this quote in it. What was it? The kid was asking why does she go for, bad people or people that don't love her that much, and the person said something like, look, you can only accept the love you think you deserve. And Sarah actually started crying at that, because it took her back through this 10-year marriage that she was in, and it finally, even though she knew that to a degree, it was that phrase that went, oh my God, and really that's the essence, is you gotta learn to deserve love. And Sarah and I, by the way, met on Twitter, of all places, from opposite ends of the world, and I won't go into that story unless you ask me more about it, but when I had barely any money in my bank account, I flew to Australia on a whim's notice to be with her, and the rest, as they say, is history, and we got engaged just a few months ago. It's a great question, and if you asked me 5 years ago if I was going to be a publisher, I would be like, what are you talking about? No. Growing up, I was that guy who had to be famous. I had to be on stage, dancing like Michael Jackson, even though I couldn't. And that was my plan. That was my dream. And I sometimes think back on it and think, where did that all start? And part of me thinks it might be the fact that I was homeschooled from 2nd to 8th grade, where I wasn't around people, and I almost needed the attention. But yeah, I sang in choirs for about 14, 15 years. And singing, I love it. I adore it. I sing in chamber choirs, concert choirs, an a cappella group, a vocal jazz group, and I studied piano for 8 years and even taught piano for a while. And I was going to school to get my music degree. But the thing was, despite the fact that I was going to school to get a degree, I could never see in my head, I could never see what I was going to do with that degree. I had ideas and visions and goals in my life, and very clearly, but yet that degree, it did not make sense. And eventually I realized, when I was about to go into my 4th and final year in school to get my bachelor's degree in music, I realized I love music, but this is not my dream in terms of getting the degree. It could be one day, yeah, maybe I'll go back to school, get a degree to teach choir, but it wasn't there, and that was the whole plan. I was following what my parents wanted. And so leading up to that time, over a couple years prior to that, I was starting to get really into personal development, listening to speakers, learning of The Secret, and all that different stuff. And I was really getting inspired by it and thinking, okay, you know what, I think I want to actually go into the personal development field. And so I got so deeply entrenched in that when I was ready to go for my last year in school, I finally decided, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not meant to. I need to spread my wings and fly. And I had no idea what was going to happen, but I did that. And over the next few years, I had a journey of working with a number of different personal development leaders as an apprentice for a while, and I was working with them, but at the same time I still didn't know where I was going, and I embarked on a maybe 5-year journey of really searching and discovering and learning in life. Where did music go? It's a good question, because I was so passionate about it, and the thing is, I'm still passionate about it. But the thing is, in life, there's an ebb and flow in life. We go through different phases and different waves. Have I given up music? Absolutely not. Am I actively practicing it? No. But where I am engaging in my passion for music is honestly through listening to it, through having my headphones on during the workday and just listening and loving it. And I feel inside, I'm absolutely going to get back to music one day. But when you're on the path of personal growth and you're constantly practicing that art of trust, the art of surrender, the art of letting go, there comes a point where you actually start to not have this need to achieve all these different goals. You have goals, but it's a much more surrendered process. And so at this time in my life, at this phase, I'm kind of just, I'm flowing, I'm flying. I don't know where everything's going to lead. I know right now I'm meant to work on Verby.com. I'm meant to really grow this into a huge business platform where we're working with hundreds or thousands of authors per month and helping them with their platform. After that, I'm not sure. I've got different ideas, but what it comes down to is embracing that art of trust and surrender and flow. When Sarah and I met on Twitter, we were first friends. She was actually married at the time, and it wasn't until a year later until we started realizing there was so much more to our relationship. And by that point, she had been the marriage she was in was done. The guy had a hammer, and long story. but one day, I felt inspired. I have to go see her. I don't know what's going to happen. Hell if I know. I live in America, and that's where my life is. I have dreams, and it's going in this direction. And this was, by the way, before I really started to get trust and surrender. And she's in Australia, so I'm going to go there. Now, I just decided on a whim and decided to book my plane ticket. And I kept getting asked by people left and right, and I knew this would happen, which is why I didn't tell anyone until after my ticket was booked. They kept asking me, but what if it doesn't work out? What if her kids don't like you? What if it does work out? What are you going to do then? What if? There's a big giant friggin' what if monster. And the thing is, I don't live my life on what ifs. What if I get stuck in a tornado? What if my plane crashes? What if I go there and I get stranded in Australia? You know what? Awesome. Because then there's going to be some awesome experience and some awesome story to tell my grandchildren one day. Life is about experience, experiential learning. So forget the what ifs. Do what you feel inspired to. I'm not saying, go make foolish mistakes, but if you're so passionate about doing something, like you said, flow into life, feel your way, but let go of the what ifs you have, let go of the what ifs of other people. And Sarah had the what if monster come to her too. And it was just days before I was going to hop on a plane. And I said, look, love, we can't live our life like this. What if it does work out? Let's see what happens. And just when you think you've got the lesson too, that's another key, is that just as you think you've got the lesson, there's more to it. Because I'm acknowledging myself right now going, all right, yeah, I tackled that in the what if. But then suddenly, just in this moment, I'm thinking, hold on a second. Are there any what ifs that I actually have blind spots of and I'm not realizing are what ifs? And so it's a great question to always bring back to, are there any other ways I can learn and grow from this? Forgiveness is a perfect example. You ever notice in the movies the whole forgiveness thing? It's like something awful happened, they resent, and then it's an epiphany. I forgive you, and everything's fine now. I haven't experienced that personally, and I'm hesitant to say that doesn't happen. I'm sure it does for people. But when I had something years ago where I went through something with someone I knew did something that most people would probably hang on to for life. I mean, it was so bad, as they say, that it's not even something I tell people what happened. Yeah. But within about a year, I was able to attain that ideal of forgiveness. And I decided, I have to let this go because it's eating me up inside. Mm. And about a year later from the event that happened, I forgave. But what I didn't realize at that time was that it wasn't going to happen like the movies. And that while at that moment I was able to do it, I had times reoccurring over the years where I felt it come up again. A different trigger brought up those memories and those yucky feelings and going, ugh. And so it's just a perfect reminder that life is always a practice. And just when you think you've got it, there's more to it. I love the analogy of the onion, and that life is just peeling back the layers. And just when you think you got to the core, you didn't. You did not get to the core. Just when you think you're in line, yeah, right. You got a long way to go. And I think most of the people who would be watching this, and we all have our different mentors. And I've had my fair share of mentors. I adopted mentors. And probably too much. Too much so that, a lot of them weren't really ideal mentors in the long run, which I realized later. But there's been a couple who have remained very dear to my heart, very conscious, loving, integrity-driven people. And, their biggest things were always like, Sean, get out of the books. They actually wanted me to stop reading the books because I was a personal growth junkie. And it was all about, look, get out of the books. Let go of the stuff. You know what? Go have an awful time with something and to experience life in that perspective. Stop trying to be this, person who can do everything. And it's not like that. Growing in life doesn't mean shit doesn't happen. It happens. It's life. It's the black and the white. It's the shade. So... And this mentor of mine, a good friend named Dallas, one of the things that I love that she said is, look, everyone can be grateful at a feast. And it's a great reminder on that point of just when we think we've gotten it, you got to ask, okay, what if everything right now was stripped from you? Your friends, the people you love, your home, your finances, etc. How's it going to look then? Not saying let's manifest it, but it's easy to be grateful at a feast, and it's an important reminder for maintaining that perspective. We're in a state of, here we are, and let's say there's little pillars of strength here and there. We've all got our strengths and weaknesses in different areas. Different people have different ways to grow, and so I think if there was a top way, ask yourself the questions, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? But also be objective. Don't think that just because something is one person's way, that it is the way. There are all different routes in life. And the fact is, as much as I love this journey of going in spiritually, and diving in deeper, it's not the way. You can live a completely awful life and still grow spiritually, because life is about experience. It doesn't matter what it is. What it comes down to is what your intentions are. What do you want to experience? Look, if you're going to hold on to drama, if you're going to hold on to anger, resentment, whatever, and if you want to do that, that's your choice. And do it. Just know that what you put out does come back in different ways. It doesn't mean you put out anger, anger comes back. It could mean you put out anger, you lose your house. It's an energetic experience in life. But overall, my biggest thing is just don't get hung up by any one way, any one thing. Be objective. Ask questions. Ask, how does this feel for me? Try it on. Try things on experientially. Even with the people I love most in terms of those who are my mentors, they give me advice. And my job is to not take what they say as doctrine. And I don't want anyone here even taking what I say as doctrine or anyone else, you, Helen, interview on this series. Take what they say. Try it on. If it fits, awesome. Try it on for longer. And you know what? It may not fit a few years down the line or a few months. Just look at life experientially. Get a balance between your head and your heart. And let go. Let go, trust, surrender. So many people ask, what's the meaning of life? Consider the possibility that there is no meaning. If you can consider that and be okay with that, you're going to have an awesome life. Because how awesome could life be if you could accept that there is no meaning? I'm not saying there isn't. I believe there is meaning in life. But if there wasn't, what's the point in life? The point in life is that I'm here, and I'm going to have an awesome time while I am. And for those looking to, be inspired, to be empowered, to create a life you love, go check out adventuresandmanifesting.org. That's the home of this series. It's an awesome blog, inspirational blog. Lots of free articles there. You don't even need to pay for anything to be inspired. But if you want something by your bedside, each of these books, Love and Oneness, Healing from Within, Adventures in Manifesting, Passion and Purpose, Health and Happiness, and Success and Spirituality. In each book, there's 32 stories on all those different topics. So if you're looking to achieve, to manifest, to attract into your life any of those things, pick up these books. Have it by your nightstand, because once a day, you're going to open up that book, look in the table of contents, and see a new chapter by a new author that you go, you know what, I want to go to that one. And you're going to find in there a piece, a tool, a nugget of information that you're going to be able to take and apply to your life to keep you inspired and keep you flowing in that journey. So that's for those readers. For authors who are looking to share their message in an inspired, empowered way, go to Verbii.com, Verbii.com. That's Verbii, and it's a self-publishing business. And finally, for authors who want to be in this book series, we're closing the author spaces soon for 2 new titles in it, for Soulful Relationships and Conscious Business. If you're looking at this interview weeks after it goes live, don't worry about it. But you can get in touch with me at adventuresandmanifesting.org for that.